In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a cute sea turtle. I'm using saracino modelling paste. I have a variety of colours that I have pre-coloured using their gel colour paste. I'm using a 5-inch round thin board, various tools, a little knife, a rolling pin, a couple of little plunger cutters and a sea shell mould. To start off with, I'm taking the blue modelling paste. Now I've left it slightly marbled just so that you can get a slight water effect. I'm just rolling it out so it'll cover this thin board. That side looks better actually. Just going to check the size. It's almost there. So with a little bit of water, I'm just going to attach that to the board. And just smooth it on slightly. Just make sure there's no marks on it. So I'm just going to trim that edge. Next I'm going to model the turtle shell. So I've got this nice brown modelling paste. So what I want to do is just take a small amount off. So I'm going to need that to go round the outside in a moment. So what I'm looking for is a nice oval shape that's rounded on the top but flat on the bottom. So by placing it on my board, I can certainly flatten the bottom, keeping the top nice and rounded. So I'm just narrowing the ends there a little bit. I'm just going to move that over. You see that's nice and flat on the bottom. Next I'm taking a darker colour. What I'll actually do is take some of this and then a little bit of the lighter colour, and I'm going to mix them together. Then that will create a nice marbled look. Now I'll roll that out. You can see there's a nice marbled pattern. Then taking a couple of nozzles, so I've got a small one and one slightly larger, and I cut out a couple of discs. So just one with a large one, and then 6 with the smaller one. And then I'll place these on top of here. Now they should stick without any water. And one in the centre. One each end. I'm pressing them down slightly so they're a bit more flush in the paste. And then a couple on each side. Okay, so I'm just going to make them all a little bit more flush. And I'll place that to one side. So now taking the green modelling paste, this is the lighter green. I'm just going to model the head first. So I've taken about half of that. So I want a nice egg shape. So I'm just rolling it between my hands. I'm just going to check the size of it. So it needs to look like it'll sit comfortably on that, and it will. So I'm just going to mark where I'm going to put the eyes. And then for the front, just taking the Dresden tool and marking a mouth. Now what I'm going to do is open that mouth slightly by just digging in the Dresden tool and lifting the front up and pulling out the bottom. I'm just going to dig in a little bit more there and pull it out again. I'm just going to squeeze that a little bit and really pull the front out. So here at the side of the mouth, just need to make a couple of little dimples. I'm just using the Dresden tool to do that. And again, just pulling out the mouth a little bit. Okay, so that's the shape of the mouth and the face finished. Just pressing down a little bit more there. To make the eyes, I have a little bit of white and a little bit of the brown that I made the body out of. So I'm just going to use the larger plunger cutter and cut out a couple of eyes. And then with the smaller one, I'll cut out a couple of the iris colour and I'll just attach that with a little bit of water. And just flattening down, try and rounding it off a little bit. Using a bit of water, I'm going to place these on a little bit closer to the inside of the eye. And I've got a little bit of darker brown here, so I'm just going to roll 2 little balls, really small ones. Well, they don't need to be that small actually. So that's gone a bit sticky. Let me get a fresh piece. Okay, so these are going to be slightly too big, so I'm just going to trim them down with my knife and roll them again, and each one just sits on the centre of the iris. Use a little bit of water to make sure it sticks. Now, just to finish the eyes off, I'm going to use a little bit more of the lighter green. I'm rolling it into a sausage. So I'll put a little bit more water over the top of the eyes there. And I'm going to cut a piece off, and cut 2 pieces off, and then just place that. I think I need to roll them a little bit more. And just place that over the top of the eyes. Next, I'm going to make the flippers. So I've got a bit more green paste. I'm just going to move my little head out the way for a moment and bring the body over. So all I want to do for this is roll. In fact, I'm going to split it into 4. Roll into 4 balls and then roll that into 4 cones. So for each one of these, I'm going to flatten them and then just shape them slightly. So just a little tweak and flatten them again if I need to. I'm just going to check those against the body, make sure they're not too big, and they look fine. I will, however, just cut them slightly to make them flush. In fact, instead of cutting them, I'm just going to press down just at this large end. Then I'll bring the board over I use a little bit of water. I'm just going to check the position of these. So I can position them slightly. Like that. So if I just move that, I can now put a little bit of water on each one. Just going to run the brush underneath as well to make sure they stick. Just make sure I don't move them. A little bit of water in the middle. Then I can place this on top. There we go. And press down slightly so it starts to stick. So with the head now, I can position that just in front. I actually want to tilt the head slightly. So by pressing on the back, just press hard on the back, that will sit a little bit more snugly against the shell. Press a bit more. It's got a little bit firmer now. And just press into place. So next, I need my light brown again. So I'm just going to soften that back up. And now I'm going to roll this into a nice, long, neat sausage. So, rolling it with my hands first, I can then neaten it up with the help of a smoother. It just stops any untidiness. I'm just going to check that's long enough. Yep. So what I'm going to do now is just attach that around the outside. Again, using a little bit of water all the way around the bottom. And tuck that neatly under there, and then just arrange it all the way around. I'll press it down a little bit. That's dropped a little bit too much. See, what I love about this paste is it firms off quite quickly, so it's not soft for too long. I'm actually going to remove the head slightly, just for a moment, and tuck that underneath, making sure it's nice and neat. I'm just going to put his head at a slight angle. Now to finish him off, I've got some dark green paste. Well, it's a darker green than what is there already. And instead of rolling it, actually, I'm just going to pinch off tiny little pieces. It doesn't matter if they're not even. These are going to make the little speckles, the little spots on him. So to place these on, I'm just going to use the brush on all these little flippers and on the top of his head. So just picking these up and then just pressing them down. Sometimes they can get stuck to your finger. So just do a few more of those. I'll just see if I can do a few more, just tiny ones. I'll just place a couple of those, a couple more on the face. There we go. So now I'm just going to decorate the board. I have some orange. So I'm going to pinch off about 6 pieces. And each one I'm going to roll into a carrot shape. So I'm just going to take 3 at a time. Just roll them a bit thinner. And placing them together and at various heights. Just going to use this cone tool and then just hollow out the top of each one a little. I'm going to cut a piece off the bottom so that they'll stand up. Let's do that again. This time I'm going to just hollow them individually. So that's another set. I have a mould here as well, and this will make some nice little shells. So I've got a few different colours here, a little bit of purple, some yellow and some pink. I think I'll make a couple of purple shells. I'm just pushing them in the mould, making sure they're definitely all in there. It's important to give it a little knead before you place it in the mould, just so you haven't got any little cracks in the paste. A bit more pink. Make another starfish. Okay, so all I need to do is take the excess off here. I'm just using a palette knife. I try to avoid using sharp knives on here, just so that I don't damage the mould. And just tidy it up after you've cut it. See if I can get some off that one. That's quite a tricky shape in the middle there. There you go. Okay. Move that little bit of paste there, so that's all ready to be removed. Just turn it over and gently ease them out. Now just before I place those on the board, I'm just going to use a little bit of piping jelly, and that will give us a nice water effect. So just a thin layer. Okay, and now I can place the decoration on. The fact that the piping jelly is on there means I don't have to use any glue or water. It'll just stick. So you don't have to use all the shells if you don't want to. Once there's enough on there, then just leave it. I don't want to overcrowd it. Okay, so there you go. The sea turtle is finished.